Hey, good afternoon, guys. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving week. Good long holiday if you took some time off of work. Um, Very excited to be back here for another Q&A here. Able to stick around for a little bit longer than I have been for past Q&As. So definitely hope you guys bring some fire questions today. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Give this just a second while some of these decide to load up here. And while we're waiting, we can just don't jump into some of the biggest news that we have. Carl Anthony Towns obviously about to miss 4 to 6 weeks. So that makes Kyle Anderson the preferred pickup here. Obviously, if McDaniels is available in your league, he's much more highly rostered. So if he's available, he is the preferred ad. But Kyle Anderson, slow mo, should be widely available and is an excellent ad right now. All right, getting into some of these questions here. Sexton, rest of season. Yeah, so Colin Sexton started out the season pretty disappointing, to be honest. Here recently with Mike Connolly out, he's been a little bit better, but he's not playing big minutes. He's still not giving you elite production. We're not seeing any of that, young bull that he was giving us in Cleveland. So I think reasonably, I still think that he will be, much better as the season goes on. I was hoping for a top 50-ish season this year. He's over the last 4 games, he's been a top 75 player. So you definitely hope that that trend continues. Still averaging just 17 points a game in that span, but 7.5 assists, really good shooting percentages. Can definitely get behind that. So I'm excited moving forward. Just hoping it stays that way. Little question. All right, next one up. Got a bunch of questions pulling in now. SGA or Fred VanVleet rest of season. Until I see something to show me otherwise, SGA is a fantasy god this season, and that'll be it. Brolo and KPJ or Terry and Randall. Um, That's a tough one. I know Brooke Lopez has just been balling out recently, so or to start the season, I should say, really putting up second, third round value for most of the season. Unsure if he can sustain that level of production. Julius Randle has been really good in the month of November as well, just doing a little bit of everything. So if I had to take my pick here, I would take Terry and Randall by just the slimmest of margins. Slow mo or Bones. I think with the news that Cat is injured right now, it's going to be slow mo. Okay. I have Pirtle, Jarrett. I assume Jared Allen, Rudy Gobert, Giannis, and Big Bob Williams. 14 team, 11 Cat. Who should I trade and who for? In all honesty, I think at this point, Giannis, you got to keep just because I think people may be scared off of him and not willing to offer you what he's truly worth. Obviously, ranked outside the top 100 just due to that free throw percentage. But if you're punting that free throw percentage, which I assume most people that drafted him did, he's quite a valuable player. So I think probably your best bet right now would be to trade Rudy and try to trade high on him with Cat's injury. That's what I would be looking to do. The rest of these guys, I don't think Pirtle's injury is serious. Jared Allen has been what we expected, and Rob Williams, Time Lord, should be coming back fairly soon, apparently. Thoughts on TJ Warren for a 20 team? Drop DSJ for him. No, I wouldn't be dropping DSJ for him. I'm not sure what he looks like in Brooklyn's rotation. Obviously, we saw bubble TJ Warren, which was just phenomenal, and we've never seen something like that again. Obviously, he's been injured since then. but he's playing alongside Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and kind of a weird Nets rotation. So I'm not sure what to make of him. I'm not sure what his ramp up period is going to be. So I would stay away from him and just go with the known quantity of DSJ for right now. With Fultz and Cole return, will Orlando move Bowl back to the bench? Saying a prayer right now on the live stream that I'm really hoping he's not moved back to the bench. There's definitely a possibility. I think his biggest threat to move back to the bench will be when Wendell Carter Jr. comes back. But I think for now, Bowl has done enough to warrant remaining in the starting lineup. I think even when everybody's healthy, he was still doing enough at the beginning of the season to be a really good fantasy option. So I'm not super concerned even with these guys getting healthy. Please rank Vandy, Bruce Brown, Royce O'Neal, and Seth Curry rest of season. Have a great day. Appreciate it, Nomad. Hope you're having a great day too. If I had to rank these guys, I think Royce is probably number one just because of his spot in the rotation. Vanderbilt's number two. In all honesty, if Bruce Brown was a full-time starter and getting 30 minutes a night, he would be number one here just because he can do just a little bit of everything, right? He can kind of stuff the stat sheet for you, but he does lose value when the rest of Denver's roster is healthy. So he would be third for me. And Curry is fourth. I really like what Curry's been doing recently. He's been hot. He's been hitting threes. He had 7 the other night. He's really been, tearing it up recently. But again, we'll see if he can actually stick in the lineup and stay healthy. So he'll be last for me in that. LA Boogie. What happens with Bowl? You can't sit that production on the bench. He has been my waiver wire pickup of the year. Yeah, you just keep riding it. You do what REO Speedwagon said, and you ride the storm out, and you hope it keeps lasting. Thoughts on stashing Kawhi on IR? If you have an IR spot, go ahead. I know in some leagues I have 3 guys sitting on IR because everybody's been getting hurt. Space, absolutely. You're not going to just drop him. But personally, I've been saying this for weeks and weeks now since his first injury. He's not going to stay healthy this season. I can't predict him playing an entire week of basketball, 3 or 4 game week without having to sit. He's only been on the court 20 minutes a game, hasn't been looking super great. He's hurt all the time. I would be trading him for what you can get. If you can get a top 100-ish player for Kawhi, somebody that you'll be able to use consistently, somebody that's healthy, trade him. Take the half-eaten ham sandwich and the bag of potato chips and clear your head and get out of the Kawhi business. Keegan Murray and Ben Mathurin rest of season worth in an 8-cat league. Murray has been Murray started out really well. He was a guy that I still really like his game. I'm still really very fond of him. But he just hasn't been great recently. So he's been a bit of a disappointment. Ben Mathurin is again, this is a guy that is scoring a ton of points. He's in contention for Rookie of the Year. He's in contention for 6th Man of the Year. But for your fantasy team, he's mostly a points guy at this point. Low turnovers, high points. He's not giving you elite threes, giving you a couple of threes a game. I think in an 8-cat league, obviously he's, Mathurin's value actually decreases in a 8-cat league because he has that positive value with the low turnovers, right? So for me, I think Mathurin and Keegan are still 12-team guys for the rest of the season. You're just going to have to experience some of those rookie ebbs and flows, unfortunately. And right now, Murray is ebbing and Mathurin is flowing a little bit better. Excuse me. Grimes, Quickly, or Reddish, or as my 7-year-old son would call him, Radish. Every time we watch the Knicks and we talk about who's in the starting lineup, it's Cam Radish. Yeah, I really like Emmanuel quickly, just because of what he can do for you. With the defensive stats. Recently, he hasn't been racking up the steals quite as much, but big time value with the steals, big time value with threes. He's a good scorer. He's a good facilitator. We saw him get triple double to close out last season. He can really stuff the stat sheet for you. Cam Reddish is kind of in that same vein a little bit. He's just not, he just doesn't have that kind of flashy appeal necessarily. And then if we're talking about Quentin Grimes, another guy that I really do like, again, I kind of worry about New York's rotation a little bit. And what kind of staying power he'll have and his availability as well, just because he's been in and out of the lineup so much to start the season, started the year injured. Um, so for me, if I had to rank them, I would go quickly Reddish and Grimes. Waiver wire is dry. Yeah, tell me about it, man. KCP, a hold in a 12-team, 9-cat league. Yeah, KCP is definitely a hold right now. You're not going to find anybody better than him on your waiver wire at this point. He had stretches this year where he gave you mid-round value. Right now, he's sitting right around that 100-ish mark. And if there's a top 100 player, you're definitely not getting rid of him. Absolutely not. Sell high on Wagner. I have Bain and Time Lord on IR and Cade waiting for the foot to drop. Yeah, that foot pretty much has dropped, but I get the point. Sell high on. I'm assuming this is Franz Wagner, right? Not his big brother Mo, who's been filling in pretty nicely. Yeah, sell high if you can get. And I'll say this for just about any player: if you can sell high on any player, if you can get back in return more than what he's worth, absolutely, you always want to entertain that idea. So if you can do that with Wagner. Absolutely. Is Wagner ceiling that of a first, second, third round guy? No. So he's not a guy that is like, man, I have to hold on to him like an SGA. Yeah, absolutely sell high on him. And sorry about your IR situation. That's a bummer. I traded Melton and Payne for Simmons with a stacked roster. Was that a good move? We will see, right? I mean, we're going to see how Ben Simmons performs. If Ben Simmons plays up to the level that we saw him play when he was in his peak form in Philly, then sure, that's a great move. If you have a stacked roster, this is just a good strategic move, right? You take those swings. If you have a if your roster is really in peril, you're losing games. I think it makes sense to make a safer move. I know that might sound counterintuitive, but I think if you have a stacked roster, to me, some people might argue for playing it safe and staying the course and just using your stacked roster. But to me, for a stacked roster, that gives you the freedom to take these bigger swings. And so if the swing was trading Melton and Payne to get a guy that has a higher ceiling than both, in the hopes that he really starts to turn it on, which he's been really good recently, right? We've seen some great games out of him. Then, yeah, I think that's totally acceptable. And I think when you're in that position where you have the playroom to trade two guys for one, even if it's a bit riskier of a move, I think you have to make that move. I like it. Need scoring in threes mostly. Can you rank Burks, DFS, Bones, and Derek White? I'm 8-cat, games cat. Yeah, I think so. For me, for this one, it's going to be Bones will be number one. Burks will be number two. DFS three, or excuse me, Derek White three, DFS four. I know DFS had, we've seen him have some big games where he just goes nuclear and just starts draining threes, and he's great for DFS contests, right? But he's not really a guy that scores a ton or gets you a ton of triples on a consistent basis. That's all Burks does, right? And that's all. That's not all Bones does, but that's his hallmark is just knocking down threes. That's what we liked about him coming out of college. That's what we liked about him in summer league. That's what we like about him when he's in the starting lineup for Denver is he's raining down threes. So it's Bones, it's Burks, it's Derek White, and it's DFS in that order. LA Boogie undefeated with Luka and Tatum killing it for me. Yeah, buddy. Those are some nice players to have. Luka, we got Luka tonight. 3-game slate tonight. We got Luka and Steph going at it. I think Steph edges him out in Dallas. I'm really, really excited to see that one. And yeah, obviously Tatum had a big game yesterday. Who'd they beat? Charlotte, right? They had that big blowout win over Charlotte. Yeah. Who is the better small forward backup running back to grab? Oh, San Francisco backup running back to grab. Man, I wish I knew. That is a football question. Unfortunately, I am not suited to answer football questions at this time. I used to do football, but focus is all on hoops this year. I'm sorry I'm not able to help you here, Rick. I saw SF and I thought small forward and then San Francisco. Hey, bro, what do you think about Jalen Noel, a.k.a. Father Christmas? He dropped 22 and 22 in the last 2 games in my league. He dropped those same number of points in my league, too. I would say Jalen Noel should get a significant boost. Jalen Noel has been really good this year, and we've seen him be really good before, when he's given the playing time. So with Cat out, obviously he's taken on a larger offensive role this year. Now with Cat out for an extended period of time, he's a great ad, right? So I know we've talked a lot about, pretty much ad nauseum, about Kyle Anderson. We talked about Jaden McDaniels. Absolutely give some love to Jalen Noel. Again, a.k.a. Father Christmas, right in time for the holidays. He'll get you into the spirit. He'll be the gift that keeps on giving. Go ahead and add him. Throw him into your roster and enjoy. Stream to your heart's content. Patrick Williams and John Wall worth holding. If you have the space, I think they're fine to hold, but they're not necessarily, for me, they're not necessarily must-hold guys, especially John Wall with his injury history. Patrick Williams, who much better real-life player than fantasy player, right? So he's great on defense. He's a glue guy in the Bulls lineup, but it doesn't necessarily translate over to your fantasy team. Let's see here. Would you trade Paul George for DeJounte Murray? Yes. Would you trade my Mobley for Vooch? Mobley's been frustrating. Yeah, Mobley has been very frustrating. Yeah, I would trade him for Vooch. I think people got really enamored with Mobley after last season. Just, wow, he's amazing. We saw what he could do as a rookie, and it's just we instantly thought, wow, he's going to just erupt and just shoot to the sky in year 2 without thinking, hey, maybe he will have some of that sophomore slump that we see from some of these guys. So, yeah, Vooch has been doing this for a decade. Vooch is consistently a third rounder. You don't have to worry about his role. You don't have to worry about his production. You don't have to worry about another big man stealing his stats, kind of like Mobley and Jared Allen do with one another. Excuse me. So, absolutely, I think Vooch is the move there. How big is Fultz's upside? I think Fultz's upside is pretty big, especially if you're looking for points, assists, and steals. Numbers over the last 8 games of last season. This is just in 22 minutes per game. 13.4 points, 2.8 boards, 6.8 dimes, 1.6 steals. Again, just in 22 minutes. If he can ramp up and play consistently 25 to 30 minutes a game, you're looking at a guy that can average, what are we talking here? 16 and 8, 16 and 9, and assists that's a hot commodity to find assists like that on your waiver wire. Those are not assist numbers that you're going to be able to find just anywhere. So absolutely Fultz is worth an ad if you have the space. Zach, should I pick slow-mo over Trey Murphy, giving the sad news about Cat injury? Yeah, RIP to Cat, pouring one out for him tonight. No, you should not pick slow-mo over Trey Murphy. Trey Murphy should have been rostered in your league. Trey Murphy should be rostered in every league. It's astounding to me. It makes my head hurt. It makes me really sad to see Trey Murphy not being rostered in more leagues. He had standalone. He's like Bol. Even when the rest of the team is healthy, still has standalone value. Still an efficient shooter. Still knocking down threes. Still has a valuable place in the rotation, even though it's a bit of a crowded rotation. He cracked it. He's in. He was putting up great value to start the season. He's going to continue to put up great value, even if Brandon Ingram comes back and is the healthiest guy on the planet and starts, playing every single game, playing 40 minutes a night. Give me Trey Murphy all day, every day, twice on Sunday. Drop RJ Barrett in a 12-team league for a streamer spot. Seems like he does more damage than good. Or do you feel he will improve percentages and defense? I've never been a big RJ guy for fantasy. I mean, his game is great. He's an entertaining player for the most part, but the percentages are just god awful, and he takes so many of them. It's not like he's shooting, 1 for 3 every night, and that's what's happening to your field goal percentage. No, he's taking, a bunch of shots every night, and he's missing a bunch of shots every night. Let me pull this up here real quick. I just want to see the exact numbers here. So he's shooting 16 and a half shots a night, and he's shooting a career worst 40%. He's shot less than 40%, or he shot less than 41% in 3 of his 4 seasons in the NBA. He's never shot 80% from the free throw line. He gives you nothing as far as defensive stats, which for a guard, he gives you half a steal a game. Even his 3-pointers, he gives you 1.5 threes a game. So this is not a guy like a Ja Morant that shoots most of his shots, inside the 3-point line and gets you elite points, elite assists, and shoots a little bit more efficiently. This is a guy that is basically just jacking the ball up and hoping for the best and dragging your free throw percentage, your free throw and your field goal percentage down. So yeah, drop him. Unless you have a specific build that punts field goal percentage and free throw percentage, and you're totally fine, enduring those stats. No, he's fine for a streamer spot. I interest in having RJ Barrett on my team. Just like I have no interest in Kawhi Leonard on my team. Hard pass. Would you rather drop Melton or Marcus Morris if you had to choose one? I would rather drop Marcus Morris. I like Melton a lot more rest of season, especially with I know the Clippers are dealing with Kawhi's injury. Paul George has been hurt. Nobody else can do anything on that roster, but Melton with Harden and Maxey out for a good bit of time. I really do like Melton, so that's who I'm rolling with here. Would you trade DeJounte and Miles Turner for Bam and Jeremy Grant? Absolutely not. Hang on to DeJounte and Miles Turner. Miles the burner Turner. He's been swatting shots. He's been taking names. He's been rolling for this Pacers team, who is just mad fun to watch. You got to love it. No, hang on to those guys. I don't care if Jeremy Grant dropped a 40-piece the other night. Doesn't matter to me. Hang on to Murray and Turner. I trade AD, Smart, Caleb Martin. This is a big trade for Gobert, Levine, and Fred VanVleet. Did I do well? AD, Smart, and Caleb Martin for Gobert, Levine, and Fred VanVleet. I think that's a fairly even trade. I mean, personally, I'm really sorry. I hope I'm saying this right. Assem, I'm really sorry because I hate being mean after you've already traded and said, hey, how did I do? And I say, well, I like the other side better, but honestly, I prefer the AD side. I know there's trepidation about how long can he stay available. But, man, the guy has number 1 overall upside, and he's been the number 1 player for the last week. So I don't think anybody else in this trade has that type of upside. So I do prefer the AD side but that said, by just a small margin, just because VanVleet, Gobert, and Levine, they all have 2nd and 3rd round upside that you're not getting from Marcus Smart, and you're certainly not getting from Caleb Martin. So I think the best player is the AD side, But if you're just talking about all around, if you needed more players who can produce at a higher level, then yes, you made out well. So I think it's a pretty fair trade. I think you did just fine, especially if this is a deeper league and you needed some depth, then you absolutely crushed it. Thoughts on Jalen Williams? Is he a 12-team hold, or would I drop for Grayson Allen or Bruce Brown? I really like Jalen Williams, and I really like the idea of Jalen Williams. Again, it just comes down to how much do we trust anybody in Oklahoma City's rotation. Uh, so I think for me, Jalen Williams, I'd actually rather just have the streaming spot personally. I'll be fine if you want to drop him for a flavor of the week. If you want to add Allen or Bruce Brown, whatever your heart desires in that spot. Cade's still worth stashing. I mean, he's all but kind of been confirmed that he's going to miss a good bit of time and potentially have season-ending surgery. But no, I don't think you can. I don't think you can drop him yet. There's too much upside because we know how the injury thing goes in the NBA. You could say a guy 1 minute is out for the rest of the season, and then 2 days later he's been upgraded to probable, and he feels the best he's felt in his entire life. It was a buddy of mine in college. We would go out and be out all night, and I would wake up the next morning feeling like death, and he would get up, and it was a running gag that we still have to this day that say, "Hey, how you doing this morning, man?" He said, "Oh, I feel great right now." Like nothing fazed him. So this is kind of how this is the analogy that I use in my head when I'm talking about NBA players is you never know from game to game. So stash him right now. I know it's tough. If you absolutely don't have the space to stash him, trade him, package him with somebody, trade him, and throw somebody else in the IR spot. Okay, let's see here. Trade Sengun and Melton for Jabari for roster consolidation in a head-to-head multi-cat dynasty league. Man, that's a good one. Trade Sengun and Melton for Jabari for roster consolidation. The question I have for the roster consolidation, though, is, I mean, who else are you going to add? So you're trading 2 for 1, which leaves you a blank space. Who's gonna fill that space for you, right? I mean, I think Jabari is the best player out of this trade long term in a dynasty league, but who's going to be that other player? I think if you have another option there, that's fine. Or if there's a rule that I'm missing here with your league where it's more valuable to you to consolidate, I think that's totally fine too. Or if you have a deep roster, because I do think Jabari is the best player in this deal. And, a lot of the time, if you have the best player in a deal, you win the deal. So I think that's totally fine. It's definitely not outrageous at all. My season done went bad. I have Cade and Hayward. Brother, I feel for you. I think we're all dealing with a bit of the injury bug. So if you have more than one of these guys, then your season done went bad too. And I'm from West Virginia, so this is exactly how I would say it too. My season done went bad. Absolutely. 60 plus watching and only 8 likes. Come on, we can do better. Yeah, appreciate that, man. That's okay. This is definitely an unusual time of the day for people to be tuning in right now at 3:00. Usually people tune in after the fact and like and comment at that point. So absolutely, again, just really, I don't care if 5 people tune in. Absolutely loving being here with you guys. Again, appreciate you tuning in here. Better add in a dynasty league, Nemhard, Avdia, or Jalen McDaniels. I love that. I am partial to, when it comes to dynasty, I'm partial to youth. I said this all off season. I went on Josh Lloyd's show a couple of times and mocked with him and got mocked for picking all the young guys. So for me, that's who I like. That's who I'm going with. I think Nemhard is absolutely the guy that you'd want to have. And fantasy's about fun, right? How much fun was that to see him cash that game-winning shot and I love LeBron, but he cashed that game winner in LeBron's face last night. You love it. That's a guy that you want to have on your fantasy team. So absolutely pick him. I will fanboy sometimes. I love the Pacers. You guys know this if you've tuned into this show before. Give me Nemhard. Bring it on. Kyle Anderson, a good 12-team ad with Cat out for a while. Yes. Would you drop Alec Burks for Slow-Mo? Yes. Slow-Mo will give you – he can give you a bunch of different things. He was playing point Slow-Mo for a while. They had him at center on defense and point guard on offense for a little while before. So the guy can give you assists. The guy can give you – he's not great rebounding. I mean, so he can give you assists. He can give you steals. He can give you blocks. He can give you triples. He's efficient. Give me him. I mean, unless you're desperate for points or threes, but points and threes, they come and go. So you can find that on the waiver wire, and that's all Alec Burks is going to give you. He's a shooter. He's going to score. Give me Slow-Mo. Would you even target Kawhi as a buy low or too much cloudiness to calculate a fair offer? Appreciate this, Daniel. Actually, I love the wording here. That's perfect. That's a great way to phrase it. Yes, too much cloudiness to calculate a fair offer. And again, in my mind, yes, if I'm looking to do a trade, I would like to know what somebody's health is. I would like to know, what kind of production they can give me, what their ceiling is, what they've been doing. And obviously all of that bakes in, right? So he's a buy low for that very reason. But for me, yeah, way too much cloudiness here. I would not want to have him on my team at all. So he's absolutely not a guy that I'm targeting. Will Killian Hayes' role survive beyond this year, or will he be relegated to an afterthought with the Pistons at full health and adding yet another lottery pick next year? Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of a sad thing, right? What did he get drafted, 7th or 8th? I can't remember exactly. He was somewhere in that 7-8 range when he got picked. And then, yeah, with Cade coming in, he's just kind of been passed over. And this is his redemption tour. This is the reawakening of Killian Hayes. And you really hope that this year he kind of earns personal opinion. I think, yes, they're headed to the lottery next year, and Hayes he will be an attractive trade offer. So I think the Pistons will trade him for somebody after this season, especially if he really has a good season. So I think it's mutually beneficial for him as an audition to ball out, and for the Pistons to shut Cade down and showcase Killian Hayes as, hey, we drafted you in the top 10. It's not working out here because we have Cade, we have Ivy, and whoever we draft next year, be it Wemby or Scoot or whoever, and we're going to go ahead and trade you. You can excel somewhere else, and we can get back picks or, a win-now player. Somebody posting soccer scores. Yes, thank you. I was actually upstairs watching this with my wife and son before I came down here. My wife went and picked my 7-year-old up an hour early from school so he could come home and check out the USA soccer game. So, yeah, that's awesome. Go USA. I saw that first Pulisic goal before I came down here to jump on the stream. So apologies to anybody in this chat that is rooting for Iran, but I'm rooting for the USA, and we're looking good so far. Is Cole Anthony worth a pickup in 12-team points league? I already have Wagner and Bowl. I would drop Marcus Morris for him. In a points league, sure. Go ahead and add him. In the categories league, not so much, but Cole Anthony, again, he's a shooter. He's going to jack up some shots. Go ahead and grab him. Trade my Scotty for Anthony Edwards. Yeah, I think that's fine. Looking to pick up Noel. Just recently picked up Mann and Winslow to stream tonight. But Noel, excuse me, guys. Sorry, I got a little sidetracked looking at this, reading this here. Okay. Looking to pick up Noel. Just recently picked up Mann and Winslow to stream tonight, but Noel might get claimed. Should I drop Winslow or Mann? Oh man, that is a tough question. Ah, that's a great question. I know these always get kind of tricky when it comes to, um, when it comes to waiver wire decisions, especially with the guys that are kind of in that close range. Yeah, oh man, that's a tough one because I know how well Justice Winslow's been playing recently. 3 straight starts. He's really looked good. And he's played. I mean, he's played some huge minutes right now. And same way with Man. Man has been really good as well. Um, man, I think for me personally, I would drop Man. I would hang on to Winslow for right now, and I would drop Terrence Mann. Um, but man, this is a tough one, especially since you got Paul George and Kawhi Leonard out. Oh man, you know what? No, keep Man and keep Winslow. Leave Noel on the waiver wire. Let him get claimed. He's been really good recently, but these other teams are, Winslow's getting heavy minutes, and the Clippers are just dealing with a ton of different injuries. So no, sorry, I know that took me a while to formulate. I'm sure you guys can hear the smoke or see the smoke starting to billow out of my brain as I'm thinking too hard. Keep those guys. Leave Noel on the waiver wire. Thoughts on SGA? Can't predict the future, but there's much talk about him being shut down and his injury-prone history. I think you always have to be concerned about injury history or tanking, but the Thunder have really been competitive this year. You haven't seen a lot of people get, it doesn't seem like they're heading toward a tank. I know we say that every year, but the man is cooking right now. I really, really am hopeful that they're just going to continue to let him cook. So I'm not selling high on him. I'm hanging on to him, and I'm just enjoying the ride, and then if eventually he does get shut down, it's like the old saying, don't be sad it's over, be glad it happened, or however that old cliche saying goes. And right now I'm happy it's happening. Update from the orange couch. I have Allen on IL and could add Noel. Do it, baby. Get it done. Kindly seeking your encouragement, ignoring soon to be activated guys like TJ Warren and Kemba. Help, please. Yeah, I don't know how to encourage you other than just saying put the blinders on and just look away. I mean, it's nice. I mean, TJ Warren, the idea of TJ Warren is nice, but how long has it been since he's played, right? So this is what you got to worry about for guys that haven't taken the court in a while. Same with Kemba. I love Kemba. I said it on Twitter yesterday. I think it's a fantastic move for them. I'm not counting on Spencer Dinwiddie. I'm not counting on Josh Green. I don't think they have a guy that can go out and get his own bucket outside of Lucas. So I like the move to add Kemba Walker, even if he's 40% of prime Kemba. Obviously we're not getting prime Charlotte or Boston or UConn Kemba walking through the door, but he could be really valuable for them. I think it'll be more of a on the court thing than a fantasy thing. So do your best, ignore those guys. Oh, excuse me, guys. Just getting over a little bit of a cold here, so clearing my throat and drinking some Ghost Energy here. Apologies. Excuse me. What are some decent offers to buy LaMelo while he's hurt? I wouldn't be giving up much for LaMelo at this point. If you have a really deep roster and you want to trade a top 75-ish guy and maybe 2 top 75-ish guys for him, but otherwise – he keeps hurting his ankle, right? I mean, there's a reason guys are buy low. Sometimes it's great to buy a guy low, and sometimes he's a buy low because his value is so low, and his value is low because he might not be on the court for you very much this season, if at all. He was back for 2 or 3 games before he stepped on that fan's ankle. So personally, I would stay away. I mean, I wouldn't give too much up for him if you're absolutely committed to buying low. But sometimes you can outsmart yourself and get too cute. So casual economist, I would there's my economics lesson for the day. Who has better ROS outlook in a points leagues, rest of season outlook in a points league, Killian Hayes or Fultz? Got to keep only one. Got to keep Killian Hayes. Killian Hayes is going to be the starter. We know this. We don't know when Cade's coming back. We do know when Cole Anthony's coming back. It's tomorrow. We do know that Jalen Suggs won't be hurt forever. So absolutely Hayes is much more secure. What would be a good young power forward or center for a Vooch and Tobias Harris package in a dynasty league that is extremely trade resistant, especially when it comes to youth? Is Sengun too low? Oh, man. If they're resistant to trading youth, it's going to be a tough one. But yeah, if you can get Sengun and trade Vooch and Harris, I think that's a fair offer if you are looking to the future. If you're looking to win this year, keep Vooch and Harris. That's the thing with the dynasty league. It's all dependent on what your team is doing. Those young guys are great in a vacuum, but if your team wants to win now, those two guys have been phenomenal. And Sengun has been, he's been fine, but he's also been quite disappointing as well. So if you're rebuilding, fine, make the deal. If you're trying to win right now, then I would just go ahead and hang on to Vooch and Tobias Harris and count your blessings. I have Tobias in a dynasty league as well, and he's excellent. Cheers. I love your responses to my expressions. First timer here. You'll always have me in the audience. What's your Twitter? You can find me at Zach the Monster. Again, cheers to you too, man. Appreciate you stopping in and appreciate the kind words. Thank you so much. Who has better rest of season outlook in a points league? P. Will or Avdia? It's going to be Avdia for sure. Patrick Williams is, again, a defense-first guy. I know we saw some good scoring games from him last year to close the season out against the Bucks in the playoffs, but on a consistent basis, I mean, you got DeRozan, you got Levine, you got Vooch to contend with, you got Ayo who can get some points sometimes, Caruso sometimes. Avdia is definitely the guy, and he can get hot from three, and obviously Washington likes to keep him in that starting lineup, so definitely that's him for me. Another Denny question. Denny is, it's from the same. Should I drop Denny for TJ Warren in a 14-team points league? No, I wouldn't. Again, we don't know what this is going to look like. You already got Kyrie and KD. What's the rest of this roster looking like? You got a lot of mouths to feed in just kind of a weird rotating cast of Seth Curry, of Joe Harris, of Royce O'Neal, of Ben Simmons. You got a lot of moving parts here in Brooklyn, so I would much rather have the non-Brooklyn player. Updates on Lillard and Middleton returns. No, I wish I did have some. More droppable, Hartenstein or Okongwu? It's Okongwu for me. I think Okongwu has high upside, but Capella is still the guy. Ayo has been so bad, that is all. Yeah, he's not the greatest player in the world, but he can get it done for your fantasy team sometimes. Any updates on Harden? Think he's going to be fat Harden when he comes back? Come on, Anthony. We're not doing any fat Harden bashing here. The guy came in out of shape. He played his way back into shape. And this is the season of thanks and merriment and being kind. So we are going to give our thanks to James Harden for the great start to the season that he provided to us. And we'll move on from that one. Are we stashing Poku in a 10-team in anticipation of his full unleashing around the All-Star break? Oh, my goodness, his full unleashing. Somebody is really high on Poku here. You would make Dr. A very, very happy man if he was watching this live stream. Yeah, if you have room in a 10-team, you can stash him, and I think he's fine in a 10-team, but that said, in a 10-team league, there's probably a lot of really good options floating around on your waiver wire. So, yeah, if you have the space, absolutely hold him. I hope he unleashes at the All-Star break. But I am also hoping that Oklahoma City is competitive and we don't see a whole ton of silly season nonsense from them. What do you think of trading for LaMelo? I'm a little afraid of a shutdown because of injury history and tanking. Yes, those are my concerns as well. I do not want any part of him. I'm not a fan of trading for injured players unless it really seems to be something not serious or something we can kind of wrap our heads around. And for LaMelo, obviously, he's out indefinitely after he stepped on a fan's foot. I mean, this was it. This was not Paul George coming down and shattering his leg or Gordon Hayward type of stuff. This was he turned his ankle. He turned his ankle on a fan's foot. I mean, and he's out indefinitely for this. After starting the season injured. No, I don't want any part of him. For Dynasty, Kawhi or Butler? Give me Jimmy Buckets, dreadlocks and all. Will John Collins be traded, and will his output be better if he's traded? I miss the old JC. Yeah, me too. I have to guess that he gets traded. His name has been in trade rumors for how long now? I mean, seemingly as long as Miles Turner. So, yeah, I would have to say yes that happens. Let's see here. Got time for a couple more questions here. Again, thanks for stopping by. I had a little extra time this week to hang out, so definitely trying to get to as many of these as possible. Follow-up, does the Harris resurgence put to rest the Harris needing or likely to be moved conversation, or is the Durant sword still hanging over his head? I don't think the Durant sword's hanging over his head, especially since the Sixers would have to include Maxey in any sort of deal for Durant, and it seems like they're reluctant, and for good reason, to do that. So I don't think there's any sort of sword of Damocles or anything situation going on here. Last one, which Magic guard for rest of season, Fultz or Anthony in a 12-team points league? I prefer Fultz. While the cat is away, will the big Frenchman play? Daniel Paisley, you are quite a wordsmith. I applaud you, sir. Rudy can't fail. I hope he plays, and I hope he plays well. I mean, people are saying that he's just been horrible this season. He's been fine. He's not doing as well as he has been. He's not putting up as many blocks. He's not rebounding at as high of a rate. So obviously there's a little disappointment, but he's been fine. Will Rolo's value dip once Chris returns? I have to imagine it will. Pick up Stewart and drop one. TJ McConnell, Chris Boucher, J-Dub. I'm assuming that's Jalen Williams or Hartenstein. I would drop Jalen Dub. And you're picking up Stewart off the waiver wire? Very impressive. Very nice. Thank you for answering questions. You're welcome. Would you drop Trey Murphy or Fultz for Anderson? I would drop Fultz for Anderson. I really like Fultz, but again, not sure how long the ramp-up period is, and we know what we can get out of Kyle Anderson while Cat's out. Absolutely, I'm not dropping Trey Murphy. I'll close the podcast out by saying pick up Trey Murphy. Make sure he's not rostered. Make sure he's not hanging out on your waiver wire. He should have been picked up already. The Brandon Ingram injury should open people's eyes. I got 4 eyes right here, and I can tell you that all 4 of them are looking squarely at Trey Murphy. Pick the man up. Thoughts on Dennis Schroeder? Yeah, he shouldn't have bet on himself. He should have taken that big 4-year deal that the Lakers offered him. I assume you're talking about fantasy there, right? So if we're talking about fantasy, I think Dennis Schroeder is fine. It seems like the Lakers are willing to give him a decent bit of run right now. Obviously, Westy's going to continue coming off the bench. So I think Schroeder's been fine. He's actually been a little bit better than what I was expecting. He's gotten 3 straight starts. And obviously, we know this with Schroeder over the years. He's a spotty shooter, right? So he'll have a 20-point game, and then he'll go back and have a dud for you. He can get you some assists. He can get you some rebounds. He's okay with steals. He's okay with threes. He's going to be spotty. He's going to be inconsistent. But anybody that's starting and getting, upwards of 30 minutes, and I think he's averaged something like 30 minutes a game over his, these starts. Yeah, I think he's fine, and he's worth an ad. Absolutely. Hope the turkey break was great and things we're thankful for. Write-up was awesome. Definitely appreciate that. Yeah, we took the family down to North Carolina to visit some family, so it was a nice weekend, nice time away. Appreciate the kind words. Let's see here. Let's see if we have any more here. There are a lot of tank teams earlier this season, which would affect stars. Do you believe any teams are or will do so now that we are over a month into the season? I don't know. I would have to say that I think the Spurs are likely to. I think the Spurs may be likely to do something like that, but they've also gotten a good chance to develop Vassell and Keldon Johnson this year. I would have said maybe at the beginning of the season that the Pacers would, but they have blown people out of the water as far as expectations and competitiveness. The Thunder have looked their offense has gone from a worst in the NBA last year to a top 10 unit, which is unbelievable. So no, I think the Magic maybe, but again, you're seeing guys like Bol get run. You're seeing other guys developing across all these teams. So I'm hoping that it ends up being that no team tanks, and we just get to see these young guys, develop and play well. All right, and last one here in the queue. Thanks for answering all of our queries. And USA is about to win today's match. Cheers. Cheers indeed. Thank you, Paolo. Here we go. We got one more. How much longer can we go before we put Ja in the AD category when it comes to drafting and ownership due to constant injury risk? We're trending that direction, but I'm hoping we don't end up having to put him in that bucket. All right, so that will be the last one for today, guys. Thanks again. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'm glad we got to chat here for almost an hour today. Really appreciate that. I hope everybody's having a great week. Hope you guys are doing well in your fantasy matchups. I hope everybody's enjoying the World Cup. I know USA is about to win today, but I've really enjoyed all the other games as well. My family gets into it. We've enjoyed the big upsets that we've seen so far. We got to see Messi the other day play. We got to see Ronaldo. It's been great. It's the World Cup. It's awesome, right? So everybody have a great rest of your day, and we will see you back here next Tuesday. Take care, everybody. Thanks.